Eating delicious food, to me, it feels like a job now. At first it was a bit rocky because I was like, oh wow, you know, all this food. But now it's like, it's it's a job. And around that, I embrace eating healthy.
Foodie Beauty, aka Chantal Marie, is a YouTuber who really loves to eat.
I know what you're thinking. You prostituted yourself for pizza? It gets worse.
Unfortunately for Chantal, her terrible diet and weight have led to some very serious health concerns, leading her to believe correctly that she must change her behavior in order to save her health and potentially her life. Chantal has engaged in many attempts to lose weight over the years, but she hasn't had any success to date. I'd love to show you more than a few of those attempts here, but Chantal is very famous for her cycle of posting a video saying she's gonna change her life.
I'm saying this to you guys for accountability. I want you to help me through this journey. I really want to see this through.
Then deleting it and posting back-to-back videos of her doing massive mukbangs for like a month in a row.
How are you? How are you? I need a chip right now.
The most obvious reason for Chantal's cycle of failure is her extreme love of fast food. Although Chantal is not currently on a diet, she's in the mukbang phase of her cycle right now. Her history suggests that she'll probably be on another one soon. In this video, we'll be discussing why Chantal may as well not even bother trying again unless she's willing to address this one very important thing first. Psychologists have found that when we attempt to make a big change in our lives or overcome an addiction, we go through what are called the states of change. Chantal is constantly flip-flopping between the action and contemplation states of change, with most of her time being spent in the contemplation state of change, which is defined by being torn between wanting to make the change and wanting to keep things the same. Which, I mean, if that is not Chantal in a nutshell, I don't know what is.
I say this all the time. Why can't this food be good for you? Why? Maybe all we would do is eat in that case, huh?
Research on successful long-term changers, that's people who ended a drug addiction, quit smoking, or lost a massive amount of weight and kept it off, shows that the only way that people can overcome an addiction and change their behavior for good is if their personal pros and cons list begins to tip toward more meaningful pros than cons. This is something called decisional balance. In Chantal's case, she is the first person to tell you that she absolutely does not want to stop eating fast food, but that she has to because of her deteriorating health.
How am I supposed to give this up? Why can't this food be good for you? It's like a joke, you know? It's like, here, I'm gonna give you all this food your body craves. It's hyper palatable. It's so pleasurable. Releases endorphins in your brain. But you can't have any. No, you can have some. But it's not good for you. Shake my head.
She has two conflicting desires, the desire to get healthy and the desire to continue her daily fast food binges. But in the end, it's pretty obvious to anyone watching Chantal's channel that her desire to continue eating fast food is a lot stronger than her desire to lose weight or get healthy. Her pros and cons list is definitely tipped more toward cons when it comes to changing her behavior. As we'll see in these next clips, Chantal is constantly flip-flopping between wanting to change her ways and just staying obese.
I have these reasons I believe in now that I need to do this, and I know my life will be a lot better 365 days from now, 364 days from now. That's why I think weight loss journeys are bullshit. I'm not downing you if you have a weight loss journey and you're losing weight. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. But for me, no. I really don't know what I was thinking with all these mukbangs. I'm gonna do mukbangs, and if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. Because I don't know if I can handle another binge and the guilt and the despair. So whenever I made that video, I'm never gonna binge again, at that time, in that mind frame, I was on a high. I'm eating myself to death. My new attitude is, My weight, my health, what I eat is my business.
The reason for all this flip-flopping, Chantel does not want to change her behavior. Chantel wants the outcome of weight loss, but she's not at all interested in the process that is responsible for getting her there. Mainly quitting eating fast food every day, beginning to eat healthy food, and generally living a healthier lifestyle.
I hate cardio.
In fact, Chantel believes that no one could possibly want to stop eating fast food, but rather they're forced to based on their circumstances.
You have to be ready to quit. You're never ready. Never. You don't quit because you want to. That's bullshit. You do it because you have to.
Now, if anyone here has ever successfully stopped smoking or quit an addiction, you know that what she just said is not true. Wanting to change the specific behavior that is causing the problem is, from what I've seen, a necessary condition of change. Maybe there are some outliers, but from what I have seen in the research, you need to want to change that behavior to be able to change it. But for Chantel, she feels that she's being forced by her medical circumstances to give up something that she loves. She feels that her health, her audience, her doctors are dictating to her that she must stop eating fast food. This causes rebellion, something we see in Chantel quite often, and an emotional taboo around fast food that makes it ultra seductive, something called psychological reactance.
I'm not going to be intimidated to change who I am or how I act. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch me.
Chantel feels that what she really wants is to keep eating as she has been. But what she needs to do, what she has to do, is to diet. Changing her diet is a should for Chantel, not an I want to. And for her to lose weight successfully, this is what has to change. This is actually what people are referring to when they say someone is not ready to change. It's a matter of actually wanting to change the specific behavior that has caused the problem. It's not enough to want the outcome of weight loss. You have to want to change what got you there. For example, if you were smoking cigarettes, say, to change that behavior, you'd have to want to quit smoking more than you wanted to continue smoking. It doesn't mean that the desire to smoke cigarettes is not there at all. It simply means that your desire to change is more than your desire to stay the same. So until Chantel actually wants to change, she will not succeed.
How am I supposed to give this up?
Desire is an extremely powerful emotion. It might not be the first emotion you think of when you think of emotions, but it is. It's that emotional quality of wanting something really, really badly. Dr. Jonathan Haidt is a social psychologist from NYU who talks about the idea of the elephant and the rider as the two parts of the brain. The elephant is the emotional part of our brain, whereas the rider is the logical part. The elephant part of our brain is ancient. It actually hasn't changed that much since the early days of our development. It's actually remarkably similar hardware to this day to what a lamprey has. This is the fight or flight area. It's instinctual. It's what keeps us alive. And as a result, it's extremely powerful, especially when it comes to governing our behavior. The logical part, the rider, is a lot younger. It deals with more sophisticated processes, and it's not quite as powerful. As long as the elephant and the rider are in agreement, the rider remains in control. But if you've ever seen a man on an elephant, you know that that control is an illusion. Everything's all good until the elephant decides to freak the fuck out. We can have a million logical reasons to change, but our behavior is driven by our emotion, not logic. So none of those reasons matter an ounce unless the emotional part is on the same side. So because Chantel feels that what she desires more than anything is to eat fast food every day.
Let's give you a beauty bite. Oh my god! Beauty bite. I know this sounds bad, but that bite was like worth being fat for.
This is what she wants with the emotional part of her brain. The process of losing weight is going to be A, awful, and B, dependent on her level of willpower on any given day. Science has shown that willpower is finite. It doesn't last very long. And that means that any weight loss attempt of Chantel's is destined to fail.
It feels like a job now.
As long as Chantel continues to view healthy eating as a tedious prison sentence, she's never going to be able to consistently engage in it. Living a healthy lifestyle is something that needs to be kept up for life if we're going to actually lose weight and be healthy. No one can consistently engage in something that they hate.
It's ridiculous for people to be like, you're gonna die. Oh well, we're all gonna die. And honestly, I don't want to live to be 70, 80 eating kale.
That means in order to succeed, Chantel actually has to change her attitude and her beliefs about fast food. There has to be a fundamental shift there. She has to literally want to stop eating fast food and start eating healthy food.
Why can't this food be good for you?
So how can someone do this? How can someone with an admitted food addiction who clearly gets a lot of pleasure out of their meals want to stop eating fast food? Obviously, it's not going to be easy, and it's a complicated process. Some people have like a rock bottom moment or an epiphany where they feel so much pain and unhappiness that they never quite view food the same way again. It loses its sparkle, so to speak. But no one can engineer a rock bottom moment, unfortunately. And honestly, Chantel seems to have them all the time.
They say that most people have to hit a rock bottom to change. And the amount of health issues I've amassed for myself because of my obesity is definitely scary and eye-opening for me. And I really want that to be my rock bottom.
She gets a medical scare, a very serious medical scare from what I can see. She gets very emotionally invested in the idea of changing and the dream of changing. And then a few days go by and she's not really as emotionally connected for her reasons for wanting to change.
MSG.
And she falls back into her old habits. What's happening here is she's really losing sight of her reasons for wanting to change. The emotional quality kind of fades away after some time. When you get a medical scare or some sort of wake-up call, your reasons for changing are crystal clear. You can really picture them, you can feel them, and they'll help you to drive your behavior in one direction. But as time goes by, food remains very salient, but your reasons for change don't. Food is everywhere you go. You can see it, you can smell it, you can very clearly visualize yourself eating it. But unless you've done the work to make sure that your reasons for change can stay top of mind, they won't really be there. In order to change for good, Chantel's perception of fast food needs to change indefinitely. It needs to become clear to her that fast food isn't her forbidden friend, it's her enemy. It seems to be the single greatest cause of the problems in her life, but she has to see that for herself and it has to stay that way. So how to stop obsessing over fast food? First, Chantel needs to connect more with her deepest held values. She needs to ask herself some tough questions about what her food addiction has cost her thus far and what it will cost her in the future if she does not change. She needs to discover how eating like this every single day conflicts with her ideal vision of herself and the hopes and dreams that she has for her future. She needs to spend some time thinking about her life story. Who is she? Where does her obsession with food come from? And where is she going if she doesn't change her ways? Essentially, Chantel needs to find a new vision of her life that she desires more than she desires keeping things the same, while also finding reasons that fast food isn't quite as attractive as she builds it up in her head to be. She needs to literally get to the point where her dominant view of food is that it takes away from her life more than it adds to it. I know for me, once I stopped and I figured out what was really important to me, it was just like this huge realization that I had been putting my entire life on hold, that I had been sacrificing my whole life for food. And once I started thinking of it in terms of that, it just wasn't as enticing anymore. Now, I'm not saying from that moment on, I was like, poof, like I never want to eat bad again. It wasn't like that. I still wanted to a degree, but I wanted to change more than I wanted to keep eating like that. And it gave me the strength I needed and like the real start to start gaining control over my behavior. But it wasn't until I had this fundamental shift in realizing, no, this is not what I want, that I was actually able to start changing. Okay, second part. Chantel is focused solely on the momentary pleasure that she feels when she puts food in her mouth, while ignoring all the negative feelings that occur shortly thereafter. She's impulsive and she's biased towards short-term gains over long-term health, We all are to a degree, but Chantel particularly so. To help combat this short-term bias, Chantel needs to connect with the other immediate feelings that accompany eating fast food. The physical feeling of indigestion, the loss of energy, the sluggishness, and possibly worst of all, that horrible sinking feeling we all experience as a result of letting ourselves down once again. These are all the immediate feelings that accompany eating fast food. They don't happen in an abstract future that may or may not happen, like a medical concern. They happen right now. And every time Chantel gets a craving, this is where she needs to refocus her attention. And for the third point, if Chantel does decide that she wants to lose weight, if she does decide that she wants to give up fast food, she needs to begin the process of detaching her identity as herself as a foodie and a food addict. She's built her life and her image around eating, and that makes it a polarizing force, bringing her back to it. Anyway, I'm not saying it's going to be easy or there's going to be this one moment where she just never wants fast food again once she decides what she really does want. It's not like that. It's really just doing the work, figuring out what you want, taking responsibility for your thoughts, and deciding whether or not the eating fast food in copious amounts every single day is really a behavior that you want to keep around in your life. Is that something that's truly fulfilling for you and that is going to lead to your long-term happiness? Until then though, until Chantel takes some time to figure out what she wants, she's really just forcing herself to do something that she does not want to do. Starting a diet thinking we have to do it versus we want to is a recipe for failure. And yet I personally know I did this for years before realizing how wrong my thinking was. And I'm sure many people watching this video did the same thing. When you begin a diet telling yourself you have to do this because your health is bad, or you hate your body, or you have some event coming up that you can't possibly be fat for, you create this huge taboo around food that makes it absolutely irresistible and cues you up for failure and a big binge. But when the balance starts to shift and you want to change your actions, you want to make healthier choices because it makes you feel good, or you feel more authentic to yourself, or you're excited about becoming a new and better version of yourself. Or maybe you're just so tired of your own bullshit that you don't want to let yourself down one more time. At this point, it suddenly becomes a lot easier to stop eating fast food every single day. If you guys watch this video and you think, damn, maybe I'm in the contemplation state of change, I know I spent a long time there despite trying to take action when I wasn't ready a lot of times. Most of the tips in this video come from a very famous psych book by a pioneer in the field of personal transformation. Pretty boring book, honestly, but it definitely has what you need, so I'll link you below. I hope that this video has been helpful. I usually don't like to have such a long period of time of me just like sitting here and talking, but Chantel was the perfect embodiment of this principle, and this principle is so key. I think most of us deal with it to some degree when it comes to trying to diet or trying to change our behavior. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching.
Oh my god. MSG.